Now, Art of Fighting 2, it was the expansion of the ideas that were implemented in Art of Fighting 1. One of the things that also caught my eye right off the bat also was that in the beginning of the game, they practically spoil the ending from the first game and expand upon that. You realize that all along, that this person that you were fighting that made no sense, that looked exactly like the protagonist wearing a mask, it was none other than their father. And, you know, this is a very shocking revelation that you get to play as the final boss of the previous game. I don't think, well, it was probably a trope back then that you could, in the following game, you could play with the last boss from the previous game. But for me, to see Takuma and to see him with the scar on his chest, that you could, if you finished him off with a special, that his scar would bleed again, I felt like that was a pretty big deal back then. I felt like, again, there was a very good sense of progression, of character development, that these characters felt very real because they had motivations. So that game was very appealing to me. Unfortunately, that game was super hard. The CPU, it would just not let you go. Like, it was impossible to finish that game with only one coin. It's impossible. And it was not until probably 1 or 2 decades later that I found out that the actual final boss of that game was Geese Howard in his young form, because nobody at the arcade could actually beat the game and get the true ending with Geese Howard. So it was a good game. I mean, there were a couple of characters that were kind of a miss. I didn't like what they did to Mickey, that they made him look like Muhammad Ali and that he would recover from being just a street punk and make him a legit boxer. I didn't like that at all. Like, I really liked Mickey's, come on, baby. Like, he would taunt you, and that was his thing. Then they changed him in the second game, and they gave him this super manly voice and Muhammad Ali look. And it was just not the same. It did not feel quite as satisfying to beat him up, right? Like, that was the whole point of that character. You wanted to beat his ass. He was just a punk in your way, and he was a nobody, and it was satisfying to swat him out of your way. And now he's this boxer, this renowned training in a boxing gym. Like, it made no sense to me, right? But I think, for example, that Eiji Kusaragi, he was a great addition, and he's one of my favorite characters, even up to this day. I was glad when they brought him back in King of Fighters 11. I think that Eiji is one of the better characters of what Art of Fighting has produced. Now, what did I like about Art of Fighting 2? And they expanded the concept of battle damage in the clothes to the rest of the characters, right? In the first game, you could only do it to King, that if you finish her off with a special, her clothes would tear apart. And that was, I mean, it revealed one of the secrets of the game's plot. Like, this character was posing to be somebody that he or she wasn't. And in the second game, they tried to expand that to all the characters, right? So you could explode somebody else's shirt or vest or glasses or clothes, and that was pretty neat that they would try to expand on that concept of battle damage. Unfortunately, it did not work quite as well for everybody, I think, not for all characters, but it was pretty good still. It's just that the difficulty was so hard. It was so hard to beat that game.